Let's get this show started. Hello, everyone who's here. Hello, you millions out watching at home. I hereby call the Congregational meeting of January 23rd, 2022 to order. Please join me in prayer. Lord God, comfort us, transform us, encourage and sustain us, that we might with joy and thanksgiving be ever faithful in our witness to you. May our hearts and minds be touched by your Spirit as we serve your people here and within the community. May our love for our church family outshine our individual differences. May the love and compassion of Jesus Christ infuse our lives with your grace and inspire us to extend grace to each other. Amen. So we have a agenda to put up there, Pastor David?
I think we just, screen by screen, we don't have the whole agenda.
Okay, so just a few remarks and introductions. This has been a year of perseverance. If we've learned anything in the last 2 years, it is to be flexible in your plans. I can't tell you how many times we have planned for the next month or 2 months or the year, and then had to fix and change and do things in a different manner. Time and time again, plans have been changed and adjusted. But through this all, as a church, we've persevered with the help of a dedicated group of employees and church members. UCP is truly a family, and the support and love that we share and show one another is an inspiration. A few thank yous. A thank you to our music people, Nancy and Marie, the praise band, the bells, and Pastor Natalie and David, who have worked with us to continue to provide music safely for worship. Thanks to our secretary, Missy's invaluable, our custodian, Maria, whom we never see, but the church gets cleaned. Thanks to the committees of our church, to the building and grounds who come in monthly to take care of the church and the grounds, to our social concerns committee, which faithfully serves our community in the food pantry and the free kitchen, despite whatever obstacles are put before them. Worship, if you recall, we had a wonderful service in the park for Easter, a beautiful Christmas Eve service and pageant. Thanks to the membership and evangelism committee for the church picnic in the county park, and for the pizza and movie day. The dedicated members of the prayer chain who lift our needs in prayer and keep us connected to each other. To the finance committee and bookkeeper Nathan Maxman for their hard work keeping the church afloat. Thanks to the video crew, a new group, which live streams and records our service for those at home. A special thank you to those who planned and carried out the active family worship, Nancy, Marie, Pastor Natalie, and the volunteers who read Bible stories for the service. May we be able to continue that service, and may it continue to grow and flourish in the months to come. To our pastors who have persevered and adapted to change, after change, and continued to lead us in worship, to minister to the congregation, to inspire us, and to be there when we need them. And to all the faithful members who support each other in our church in countless unrecognized ways, fill in at the office, who help with Bible studies, who help decorate the church or undecorate the church, trim the roses, fix things that are broken, come early to set up coffee time, generously donated to our heating and air conditioning in the sanctuary. The list goes on, and I'm sure there are people that I've forgotten, but thank you to everybody. Next, we will move on to the budget, the proposed budget for the 2022 year. We've followed the process as is laid out in our bylaws. The Finance Committee, working with the bookkeeper, developed a budget which they present to the Parish Council. Parish Council approved the budget, and now it must be approved by each of our 3 denominations, as it says in our parish agreement. If you are a member of one of these denominations, you have received a copy of the budget and ballots in the mail. After today's meeting, if you haven't already done so, please use your ballot to register your approval of the budget and return it to the office, either by mail or dropping it off in the office. As Nathan presents the budget, you will be able to ask questions or to comment. If you're at home, we have 3 numbers. Pastor, do we have those numbers on the next slide? Oh. Yeah, okay, there are 4 numbers. If you're at home, they're not going to stay up there the whole time. So you,
They are on most every slide.
oh, okay, well, that's very good, thank you. Never mind. But if you need to write one down, you can. Please feel free to call in. A reminder that according to our bylaws, friends of the parish may participate in the discussion. Friends of the parish being people who are not members of one of our 3 congregations. But only members of the 3 denominations may vote to approve the budget. Also, we only vote on the budget, the general fund budget, not on the special funds. But I'll bring that up again later. So Nathan, whenever you are ready, let's go ahead with your presentation.
All right. Good morning. I'm going to start with just a little piece that isn't on one of the slides. Currently in our general fund bank account, we have approximately $13,800, and in PayPal there is about $1,500 to be transferred. So I'm going to go over this since you guys have all had this for a little bit of time and just hit some highlights and then answer any questions that somebody may have. So in the income section, at line 13, there is a fundraiser. The Finance Committee is suggesting we use as a way to help fund the church. Moving down into the expenses section, at line 21 through 25, I'm just pointing out the benevolences that are budgeted are only there as an estimate. We pay 3.3% of offering to each denomination based on the prior month. So I do want to point out further down at line 45, our fire and liability insurance. It goes up, and our billing cycle does not match our budget cycle. So it's an estimate of how much it's going to increase because the first quarterly payment of next year's insurance is due during this budget cycle. So into support staff, I just want to point out that in support staff, the same COLA that will be in the ministers is included for the support staff. That is 3.2%, I believe. The next thing to point out is at line 109. I moved pulpit supply from the minister's salary into minister's section into the worship section because the worship committee is who generally authorizes in the income section because it's easier for presentation to not have that there. So at the very last line, 114, there is a deficit of $15,563 based on the budget as presented. That is assuming all the income comes in that we are expecting and budgeting for, and that we spend everything that we budget for, which we generally don't. So with that, I will take any questions.
I think, Jonathan, if you would put in a line item for the 50th anniversary.
That is, 50th anniversary budget is the question. There isn't a line item in the general fund. That's because Parish Council authorized it to be funded by the Bequests and Memorials Committee. It's going to be moved into the Church Celebrations Special Fund and will be funded out of that.
Okay, so it's in there, so I just didn't see it.
Yes, yes, the funding requested is there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any phone questions? Nothing in the YouTube chat? Oh, Lynn.
Having done numerous fundraisers, a generous amount of money out there for that, any discussion of how you would do that?
There was discussion at one point of a parking lot party type thing with the band. I don't know how that would all work. I don't know the process for it. I am not the one that is putting it together. We will see what it turns out to be.
Who is?
The Finance Committee suggested it. I don't know if they're going to ask somebody else to.
I have a few ideas of,
I think what you're talking about for the online people.
Yeah.
John Parkinson says he has a couple ideas for fundraisers. It will be a fundraiser, not a fellowship event. I hope that.
Okay, so now that everyone can hear me, I mean, I don't have anything concrete, but we talked about it in the Finance Committee. As you can tell by the bottom line, it was negative 35,000 originally. I wasn't comfortable with that. And so I said, I think we should put together a fundraiser and we can target making $20,000. I have some ideas about that. I'm not ready to discuss those ideas yet, but I just wanted to say, as you said, there's fellowship events and then there's fundraiser events. And this is going to be, the idea here is to raise money for the church. So something to do with silent auction, and a fairly elegant event. So.
And if I could just add to that briefly. So before COVID hit, the Finance Committee was looking at doing a parking lot fundraiser with a jumpy house, a band, sale of all kinds of food, all sorts of different things. And obviously COVID came in and all of that got shelved. And I have no idea how that might or might not dovetail with what John's thinking of, but that was what has been sitting there for 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
just to answer your question. Nothing on the telephones.
Okay. I am available by email or phone if somebody does have a question after the meeting. So, and I will do my best to answer it or direct you to the right person.
Thanks, Nathan. Thanks, John. So I think the next item on the agenda is a presentation by the Worship Committee. And this is kind of significant. I hope a lot of people are watching because this is kind of a change and it's something that we're hoping will work. The Worship Committee, with the approval of the Parish Council, will be trying something new this year. As you may know, the refreshments, sometimes called coffee hour, has been hit and miss as the pandemic has ebbed and flowed. And in an effort to spread out the responsibilities or the chance to serve, we have decided to continue the current practice of assigning each of the 3 denominations the responsibility for 1 month at a time. However, we have also added the Friends of the Parish to the rotation. So there are 4 groups, again, in an effort to spread out the coffee hour responsibilities. Friends of the Parish are those who attend UCP but have not joined one of the 3 denominations. Here is the schedule for 2022 on the slide, I think, coming up. Yeah, and if you'll take a look at this, you'll see that we have 2 lines here. One is for assistance to worship, and I'll come back to that, and the other is for coffee hour. So beginning next month, if we can have coffee hour, the Presbyterians will have the first month, and then you can just go right on down the list there. So you're really only responsible to help out with coffee hour once every 4 months. Is that right? Yeah, once every 4 months, yes.
Who's going to make sure that the Friends of the Parish get,
That's an excellent question, because there is no leader there. So the way we're going to attempt to do this, again, to spread responsibilities out and put some responsibilities on the members of the church themselves, is it's by a sign-up sheet, and they're in the back on the bulletin board already there for the first 4 months. And at this point, I think we have to say that if nobody signs up for that week, we don't have any refreshments that week. We just have to make this, if this is going to work, people have to step up to make it work. That's the plan right now.
well, so that's week by week rather than month by month?
No, it's month by month, but the sign-up sheet for that month will have all 4 or 5 weeks listed. And so, like, right after this meeting, you could run back there, find the disciples, and sign up if you wanted to. Okay, so that's the plan. And so that allows people, I hope, to be able to choose the week that they are available, and that works. Question, Lynn?
Just for clarity for myself, we used to do like committee, correct?
We did, and what we ended up doing, and I know this was my situation, I'm sure it was yours too. If you're on 3 committees, you end up doing more than you would in this case. And so again, we're trying to spread this out, and this was one way to do it.
We don't have to run to the side of the
Right. You won't sign up by committee. You don't have to run and check the calendar before everybody else does it. But hopefully people will sign up back there. They're all out there and ready to roll. And don't feel, if you're doing coffee hour, that you have to make a lunch. It doesn't have to be that fancy. Just make some coffee, make some punch, and some snacks for people to sit around and eat while they're enjoying each other's company. Question, Pam?
I just wanted to remind people that if your denomination has the coffee hour, that no one person is responsible for everything on a Sunday. The whole denomination for the month brings in things to donate to the coffee hour table. So there's not one person stuck doing everything. One person is responsible, but the other people in the denomination will contribute.
Thank you. And don't feel intimidated if you don't know how to use the coffee machine. There's people here to help, always. It will get done. Also, if you're not able to attend church, you could still serve by dropping off some snacks in the office the week before, something that'll last, or come by early that morning of that Sunday and bring something by to help, Yeah, so don't have to be here necessarily. This won't last too much longer. Then the other thing is, we haven't had greeters, ushers, deacons, all those things now since COVID started. And the worship committee and the pastors really would like to bring back those people of hospitality and greeting and so forth in a reduced form, because it's going to be a while, we don't know, before we serve communion, if in the old way, and if we pass the plates, and all that's kind of uncertain. But we would like to take care of these responsibilities and have a smiling, friendly face at the church when people come in. So we would like to have 2 or 3 assistants to worship, is what we're calling them, at each service. And just briefly, here's what they would be responsible for. Number 1, replenish the communion cups into the narthex, which basically means walking to the kitchen, grabbing a handful of the communion cups, and putting them out front. It's not hard. The second thing is lighting the candles on the communion table right over here. And the third and most important is greeting, welcoming people, handing out programs, pointing out the communion cups to them, escorting to their seats if necessary. If they're visitors, introduce them to someone. Just being friendly, have them sign the guest book if they're visitors, and invite them to stay for the coffee time. Remind them that, let them know that we do that. And then finally, after the service has started, taking a head count and keeping a record of that, which we haven't been able to do for a few years, and we would like to. So that's what it means to be an assistant to worship. And again, if you had any questions, the duties are up posted there with the sign-up sheets, and you could ask for help. And you'll notice on the sign-up sheet, it's been carefully done so that, for example, if the disciples are assistants to worship in February, they don't have any responsibilities in March, then they have the coffee hour, nothing in May, and then back to assistants to worship. So in other words, you have a month off between anything you sign up for. So please encourage people to sign up back there, and let's see if we can do this. It's an experiment. Hopefully it will work.
There's assignment for the 5 weeks for the assistant.
Yeah, it's the same way. You go back there, and for that month, for disciples, for the month of February, there will be however many Sundays listed back there, and you'll sign up by those. Yeah, and of course, there's nothing to say that it can't be the same person a couple weeks in a row. I mean, it's, yeah, however it works out. So all this information will also be included in the newsletter. It comes out for February and also sent out by email. So let's see if we can't make this work. Okay, I think the next thing, if I can recall, is the special funds. And while we're getting that slide up with the special funds on it, for those of you who don't really understand this, and took me a while to get it, we have the budget, which we project into the next year and we use and so forth. And then we have the special funds, which were each started in response to a specific need, and money was donated for that need. So, Nathan, what did you say roughly was in the special fund total right now? Okay, it's in the area of $40,000 to $50,000. It's a significant amount. But this is not budgeted out. It's an as-needed basis with the parish council making those decisions. So if we could, take a look at the special fund, will be coming up here pretty soon. And I'm not going to go through this line by line because, yeah.
It isn't parish council that determines it, it's the committees that control the funds.
The committees control the funds, but okay, yeah, okay. Okay, so there's the total that's in the special funds right now, $45,450.36. And the key items, the big items, are building and grounds, social concerns, and bequests and memorials. And a lot of that is broken down into smaller categories. And I don't think it's necessary to go through line item by line item on these, but what we did do is show what came in and what went out last year and the effect that that had. So let's take a look at the next slide. It'll come up here in a second. And there we go. So this is all the income and outflow through special funds this past year. So the first item you'll see up there is deferred benevolences. That's a confusing term, and this is where that came from. Normally, in the past, we have set each month our benevolences, the money that we owe to each of our 3 denominations regionally. This year, the Finance Committee was concerned about the amount of money that we had in reserve, and they asked that we set aside each month the benevolences in a special fund in case we needed that money for something else at the end of the year. Okay, this year we put away that amount, $11,126. All of that then was sent in December to each of the 3 denominations to fulfill our benevolence requirements. So that's where that income and outflow came from. Any questions on the deferred benevolence? Okay, and Finance Committee has asked that we do that again this year, and the Parish Council agreed, so that same fund will be there next year. Okay, the Deacon Fund, there are a few small funds that kind of, to my way of thinking, had unaccounted for little additions this year. And Nathan said that occasionally people send in donations isn't the word I want, offerings with a specific fund that they designate it goes to. So the Deacon Fund added on $50 for a change of $50. Bequests and Memorials took in $500 last year, and that was for Oscar Dominguez's services. And the Bequests and Memorials had an outflow of $243, and that was to buy the communion individual cups that we use now. And that was from some of the special Bequests and Memorials funds that were undesignated. In other words, somebody's fund, when they passed away, said just use it as you need it. And that's where that money came from. So you can see we have a change of plus $257 there. Building and repair, I bet you can remember where that went and came from this year. That was the HVAC system. And so wonderful, you know, we spent $11,927. Almost all of that went to the company to put in the HVAC. A little bit went to reimburse for small jobs, but the rest of it went for HVAC. But when we asked for donations, you can see in was $15,154. So we actually finished the year with an extra $3,000 something in the Building and Grounds Fund. It's better off than it was before we started. That was wonderful. Yeah. Christian Ed, again, that was a donation made specifically to that fund for $150. So it added on $150. Nothing was spent out of that. We haven't had a VBS or anything for a couple of years. Hopefully we'll get back to that. The Marian Martha Fund is a Bible study group. They take a weekly, or I suppose it's weekly, donation. They added on $56 this year. The M&E Thailand mission, so we finance Ivan and Kashmira's mission through a special fund in the membership and evangelism category. And so by donations from our church towards Ivan and Kashmira's mission, we took in $2,543 and all of it went to them. And so the change is zero for the year. The free kitchen is mostly financed, and Lynn, you can maybe help me with this if I need it, is financed from a bank account that doesn't belong to UCP, correct? Yeah, so because the free kitchen started out as a number of local churches, they opened their own bank account as an organization, I think, way back when it started. And most of the funding still comes through and goes out to that. So the free kitchen took in $200 for our special fund, gave out $963 for a net change of negative $763, but that doesn't reflect at all the amount of money that the free kitchen has available. There's much more in the bank account that's shared with the other churches. And then finally, the food pantry, thanks to the really wonderful work that Gene Mead did in getting a $5,000 grant from the Wine Alliance last year, took in $5,659, $5,000 of that from the Wine Alliance, the other $659 from donations from our congregation, and they spent $674. And so they had a positive change of $4,985, and they have a lot of money in their account. That's just the change. So these are the actual input and outflow from special funds in the past year. Any questions? Yeah, Bonnie.
I understood that Ivan and his wife were possibly coming back.
Yeah, Bonnie asked or said that she knows that Ivan and Kashmira are coming back, and I thought it was February when they were planning to be back. And has anybody heard anything? I know they plan to continue with some kind of mission. Pastor Natalie?
They're here, and they're getting involved in some new mission, so they want to change the name.
Okay, so as far as we know now, those of us who are giving to their mission should continue? Or should we wait to hear from them?
Continue. They will continue to need support even though they are here in the United States receiving training and doing other things.
Yes.
Okay, so yes, please continue.
Thailand.
Yeah, we'll take the Thailand off the name of it for sure.
I can change the name of the account.
Yeah, just, yeah. Bonnie, does that answer your question for now? Best we can do. Any other questions? Okay, if not, what's next, Pastor David, on the agenda? Pastor's Moment.
I want to add, because we didn't cover the investment account. Oh, yeah. So what we cover those.
Okay.
Okay, you've already preached, so you only get a moment.
So Nathan needs to do a quick note on the investments. So very quickly, we're going to have Nathan come up here and just share. Real quickly, Nathan.
I'm trying to get the email to open. Sorry, I'm trying to open an email right now. I'm sorry, I wasn't really prepared.
You want to wait till?
Yeah, I'll wait till, I will get it open.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and do the pastor's moment. So, in March of 2020, the world shut down. Over the last 2 years, United Christian Parish has navigated virtual worship,
Zoom meetings,
music and video editing,
masks,
outdoor worship,
hybrid Zoom meetings,
live streaming,
hybrid worship,
staff changes,
and a slow decrease of our church finances.
Over a year ago, we began meeting in person again. Outside at first, careful not to become a COVID hotspot. We have slowly moved towards a more typical service, even as we've struggled without ushers, greeters, folks to help with communion, candles, and so much more. We now have a new appreciation for all the missing people who were formerly involved in making worship happen, especially as we're trying to lead communion with these little tiny cups because we forgot to set the table.
We know people have a variety of reasons for being among the missing. Some members, due to age and health issues, haven't been able to join us yet or often, and may not be able to going forward. Some still are not comfortable and don't feel safe in this ongoing pandemic state. Live streaming is keeping these folks connected and encouraged. Some want everything to be the same before they come back. Others have gotten used to watching the service online in PJs and sipping their coffee and tea. Hey, we get it. In those early months, when it was just us recording the entire service before Sunday mornings, we could relax with you and watch the service along with you.
In the last year, UCP has continued its ministries with the food pantry and the free kitchen. We started hosting a monthly blood bank. We have invited AA groups back. One had begun to meet but stopped due to an internal struggle because they could not come to consensus or agreement over masking. The Social Concerns Committee is working to make it possible for North Coast Opportunities to be in our building for midweek meals and provide a social worker who can connect people with resources, which we are looking forward to. Our air conditioning unit, which dated back to at least 1968, died in the early summer and had to be replaced. A hugely successful fundraising program covered the costs and added to the buildings and grounds special funds. Unfortunately, we had to live with a hot sanctuary through much of the summer. The children attending active family worship even made fans for the congregation.
We started active family worship on the first Sunday of May, thinking we had most of the pandemic behind us. We've persisted and have attracted 3 new families, one of whom participated in the Christmas Eve pageant. They consider UCP their church and us their pastors, and we're building on that connection. We also have an unfinished project from last year that needs to be completed this year in preparation for our 50th anniversary. The weaving I began, offered to everyone, is probably a little more than halfway completed. Advent and Christmas, plus the ongoing challenges of the pandemic, have slowed progress, and we need to renew our efforts. Please come and contribute an inch or two so you can point to your piece in our creation. And just call me or grab me after service and do a couple of inches.
A new member class is being planned. We aren't going to start it until after the worst of the Omicron variant has passed, so late February, we're not sure. And this is not, well, we haven't spoken with everyone, so please consider yourself invited, even if you want to just learn more about UCP. It's a class for us to learn about ourselves, and for folks who are either friends of the parish or are brand new to be able to say, yeah, I'd like to join in this wonderful 3-ring circus.
In the midst of everything that is both hindering and encouraging us, we have to ask, is it well with our souls? Despite the pandemic, all the work of making UCP function, how are we doing individually and as a community? Some of us who lean to introversion, to being introverted, have been more comfortable with the isolation of the last 2 years. Others who thrive on social connection have been more challenged.
It appears that as a community, we feel a bit thin, worn out by the relentless back and forth of the restrictions or the easing of them. We long to gather fully, to sing fully. I almost did it. To break bread together, close together, to put on some weight, to exercise our gifts and become more fit as a congregation. Clearly, we will need to do this in a safe manner, but we must move forward into God's wholeness and wellness individually and as a community of faith.
Just a note, we don't think we're going to have to go back to virtual ever. We've figured out kind of how to deal with all of that. We feel pretty confident that we will not have to go back. We're looking forward to a year-long celebration of being together for 50 years. We will reflect on our past and renew our commitment to each other. We are looking forward to special gatherings over food and discussions about what has been good and what can be improved, and our dreams for the future. That's our report.
Are there any questions? Always hate to ask in a way. Are there any questions? Okay, I think Nathan's going to come up and then we'll move on.
sorry, there's no slide for this. UCP has 2 investment accounts. It has the investment for youth, the Ina Henry account, and the UCP Scholarship Fund. Horrible names on it. So I was asked to give a report on it. There isn't a slide for it. The current balance in Ina Henry is $12,289.64, with an available balance, because these are both only allowed to use the interest, of $2,289.64. And then the UCP Scholarship Fund has a total balance of $37,827.87, with an available balance of $2,827.87. Any questions on that?
Where do those come from?
Those were memorial funds that were set up, and the families asked for the funds to be invested and only the interest to be used.
On the scholarships as well?
Yes.
Thank you.
The scholarship came from Jane Snow.
Oh.
Remember Jane?
I didn't know it, but yeah.
And she asked,
You wanna say that into the
sure.
The UCP Scholarship Fund was set up by Jane Snelling. Do we still have any of her? The quilt that hangs over in the corner, Jane did, and she was a long-term member. And she asked that a scholarship fund be set up, if I recall, for single working women who wanted to go back to college. And that's specifically what that's for. Yeah. Okay, we will close with prayer. No, we won't. Oh, I'm sorry. Issues from the floor. Are there any issues people would like to bring up?
Telephones.
What's that?
Ask if anyone wants to.
If anyone who's listening or watching at home would like to call in, the numbers are on the top of the slide. And we're counting you down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Oh, that's true. 6. Okay, if there are no issues from the floor, let us close in prayer. Radiant God, your face has shined upon our gathering. As we now depart, shine in us and through us, that we will be faithful until we meet again. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. And so we end the meeting. The meeting is adjourned. Don't forget to sign up to be an assistant to worship or serve coffee hour.